Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a powerful truth that may shake your comfort zone. Your life is not controlled by what happens to you, it is controlled by what you say, how you feel, how you think, and how you spend. If you can master your mouth, mood, money, and mind, you will master your destiny. Your life is not shaped by luck, other people, or random events nearly as much as it is shaped by what you say think feel and financially support every single day. These four areas quietly determine the direction of your entire life, whether you are aware of it or not. What you speak becomes the language your mind accepts as truth, and your mind then begins to build your reality around those words. If you constantly speak fear, doubt, or limitation, your life will slowly shrink to match that language. On the other hand, when you speak growth, courage, and possibility, something powerful begins to awaken inside you. Your thoughts then take those words and transform them into beliefs, and beliefs are the invisible architects of your future. What you repeatedly think about becomes the blueprint your life follows. When your thoughts are disciplined, focused, and hopeful, your life begins to move in that same direction. At the same time, your emotions serve as the energy behind your actions. You can have the right thoughts, but if your emotions are ruled by anger, jealousy, fear, or self-pity, your progress will constantly be delayed. What you feel every day shapes how you move through the world. If you allow negativity to dominate your emotions, you unconsciously push away peace, opportunity, and confidence. But when you choose gratitude, calmness, and joy, regardless of circumstances, you send a powerful signal to your life that you are ready for better things. Emotions are not reactions to life alone. They are decisions that either elevate or drain you. Then there is money, not just what you earn, but what you endorse with your spending. Money reveals what you truly believe matters. Your financial choices reflect your priorities more clearly than your words ever could. When you spend without purpose, you end up living without direction. When you invest thoughtfully, you create a future instead of just surviving the present. Your money follows your values, and your life follows your money. If you are careless with what you finance, you will also be careless with where your life goes. These four forces are always working together. Your mouth feeds your mind controls your mood influences your choices, and your choices guide your money. When even one of these is out of balance, your life feels unstable. But when all four are aligned, something incredible happens. You begin to feel powerful, focused, and free. The moment you take control of what you say, think, feel, and fund, you stop being a passenger in life and become the driver of your destiny. Your mouth is far more powerful than you have ever been taught to believe. It does not simply describe your life, it helps design it. Every word you speak sends a message to your mind about who you are and what you are capable of becoming. When you repeatedly say things like "I'm tired," "I can't do this," or "nothing ever works out for me," your mind accepts those statements as instructions, not opinions. Over time, those words stop being expressions and start becoming limitations. You begin to live according to what you've been saying, not what you're capable of achieving. The mouth acts like a steering wheel, gently but constantly guiding the direction of your life. If your words are negative, your life will slowly drift toward negativity. If your words are filled with hope, your inner world begins to shift toward possibility. This is why two people can face the same problem yet experience completely different outcomes. One speaks defeat and sinks into it. The other speaks resilience and rises from it. The problem is never just the circumstance, it is the conversation happening inside and coming out of the mouth. Words carry emotional weight, When you complain, you don't just release frustration, you multiply it. When you constantly criticize yourself or others, you create an atmosphere of heaviness around your life. But when you learn to speak encouragement, appreciation, and belief, your entire environment begins to change. People respond differently, opportunities appear more frequently, and your own confidence begins to grow naturally. This is not magic, it is alignment. You begin to live in harmony with what you declare. Your mouth shapes your identity. The sentences you repeat become the labels you wear. When you continually speak weakness, you silently build a life that can only reflect weakness. But when you practice speaking strength, even when you don't yet feel strong, you train your mind to rise to the level of your words. This is how growth starts, not with actions, but with declarations. You may not always change your circumstances instantly, but you can always choose your words. And when your words change, your internal world begins to change first. From there, your behavior, decisions, and direction shift naturally. Your mouth becomes the gateway to either limitation or liberation. What you speak today is planting the seeds for the life you will live tomorrow, whether you realize it or not, and the future will faithfully grow whatever your voice has been sowing. Changing your language is one of the fastest ways to change your life, because words are not neutral, they carry direction, emotion, and power. What you repeatedly say about yourself becomes the story you live inside of. When your language is filled with doubt, fear, and complaint, your life begins to echo those same qualities. You might not realize it at first, but negative language quietly programs your mind to expect failure, accept less, and settle for mediocrity. Over time, you start to believe that certain things are impossible for you simply because you've talked about them that way for so long. When you make a conscious decision to change your language, you begin to reclaim control. Instead of saying, "I can't," you say, "I'm learning." Instead of "this is too hard," you say, "this is challenging and I'm growing." These simple shifts may feel small, but they carry massive power. You are no longer reinforcing the problem, you are strengthening your identity. The words you choose become a daily training ground for your mind. When you speak with purpose, your thoughts begin to follow that same pattern. Your inner dialogue is just as important as what you say out loud. Many people appear confident externally, but destroy themselves internally with harsh self-talk. If you constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough, life will begin to reflect that belief through fear, hesitation, and missed opportunities. But when you speak kindly and consistently to yourself, you build emotional strength. Self-respect grows from self-talk, and confidence is born in private conversations with your own mind. Changing your language also changes how others respond to you. When your words carry confidence instead of complaint, people treat you differently. When your voice reflects belief instead of bitterness, opportunities become more visible. The world responds not just to what you do, but to what you broadcast through your speech and energy. Your language tells life what kind of person you are and what kind of experiences you are prepared to receive. Over time, the life you desire begins to feel more natural because your words have already prepared you for it. You stop seeing success as distant and start seeing it as achievable. You stop viewing yourself as stuck and begin to see progress everywhere. Language rebuilds identity, and identity reshapes destiny. When your words change, your vision changes. When your vision changes, your decisions change. And when your decisions change, your life follows. You don't need more luck, more money, or more connections before your life can improve. You need a new vocabulary, a vocabulary of courage, growth, patience, and belief. When you commit to speaking in alignment with the person you want to become, instead of the person you used to be, your life begins to catch up with that identity, and transformation will no longer feel like a miracle, but like a natural outcome of a mind that finally learned how to speak life into existence. Your mood is far more than a passing feeling. It is the emotional climate in which your entire life grows. Most people believe their mood is something that happens to them, that it is caused by people, pressure, or bad circumstances. But this belief quietly gives away their power. When you allow external events to control how you feel inside, you hand over the authority of your life to things you cannot control. The truth is, life will always bring challenges, delays, and disappointments, but none of these have the power to decide your emotional state unless you allow them to. Your mood begins with your mindset, not your situation. Every day you wake up and choose what kind of emotional energy you will carry into your experiences. You can enter the same room with two different moods and create two completely different outcomes. When you enter with frustration, everything feels heavy. When you enter with calm and confidence, solutions begin to appear. The situation did not change, but your internal environment did, and that made all the difference. This is why two people can face the same problem and have entirely different emotional experiences. One collapses and the other grows, simply because they choose to interpret the moment differently. Many people spend years blaming others for how they feel, not realizing that this habit traps them in emotional dependency. When you let someone else decide whether you feel good or bad, you enter a silent agreement that your happiness is something outside of you. This is a dangerous way to live because people are unpredictable and circumstances are temporary. If your peace depends on them, it will always be unstable. Emotional freedom comes from learning how to self-regulate rather than constantly react. Learning to choose your mood does not mean you deny pain or pretend everything is perfect. It means you refuse to let hardship define your identity. You process pain without building a home inside it. You experience emotion without becoming imprisoned by it. This kind of emotional intelligence gives you power in moments when others feel helpless. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What can I learn from this?" That question alone shifts your energy from victimhood to strength. Your mood also shapes how others experience you and, in many ways, determines what you attract into your life. People are drawn to emotional energy more than words. A calm person attracts trust. A joyful person attracts connection. A consistent person attracts opportunity. When your emotional state is ruled by negativity, you unknowingly repel the very things you want most. But when your mood is stable, grounded, and intentional, life begins to respond differently to you, as if the world recognizes that you are no longer available for chaos and has no choice but to meet you with something better. When you allow other people to control your emotions, you slowly give away the most valuable thing you own, your inner freedom. The moment someone else can decide whether you feel peaceful or angry, confident or insecure, joyful or discouraged, you have unknowingly handed them the keys to your emotional world. Many people live this way without realizing it. A careless word can ruin their day. A disappointed look can destroy their confidence. A lack of approval can make them feel invisible. This is not because others are powerful, but because emotional permission has been given without intention. Depending on people for emotional stability is dangerous because people are inconsistent. They change, they disappoint, they misunderstand, and they act from their own wounds and limitations. If your emotional state rises and falls based on their behavior, your life becomes an emotional roller coaster controlled by someone else. You may start your day hopeful, only to let one person's negativity drain your spirit. You may enter a situation confident, only to leave doubting yourself because of someone's opinion. This gives others influence far beyond what they should have. Emotional independence does not mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop making them responsible for your happiness. There is a difference. Caring is healthy. Depending is heavy. When you depend on others for peace, you place pressure on relationships they were never meant to carry. No one was designed to be the source of your self-worth. No one was created to carry the responsibility of your emotional stability. That job belongs to you. When you reclaim control over your emotions, something powerful happens inside you. You stop reacting and start responding. Instead of instantly absorbing someone's mood, you become aware of your own. Instead of believing every criticism, you start measuring it with wisdom. Instead of chasing approval, you start building self-respect. This inner stability becomes your greatest strength because it allows you to move through life without being emotionally knocked down by every opinion or situation. The moment you stop letting others decide how you feel, you experience freedom at a new level. You are no longer emotionally hostage to someone's behavior. You no longer base your worth on someone's treatment. You no longer wait for validation to feel valuable. You become rooted instead of reactive. You become grounded instead of fragile. And from that place of emotional independence, you begin to attract healthier relationships because you are no longer desperate for acceptance, but established in understanding. When your emotions are no longer controlled by others, you stop begging life for peace and start generating it from within. And that is the day you realize that no one ever had power over you, except the permission you once gave them. Money is a powerful tool, but it becomes a dangerous master when it begins to control your decisions, your identity, and your peace of mind. When money rules you, it dictates your self-worth, your lifestyle, and even your relationships. You start judging your value by your bank balance, your happiness by your purchases, and your success by how much you can show instead of how much you truly have. This creates a life filled with pressure and comparison, where you constantly try to keep up with others while slowly falling behind in peace, purpose, and security. When money becomes your master, fear becomes your companion. You worry about losing it, you stress about earning it, and you measure your future by how much of it you think you'll need. This kind of thinking traps people in cycles of anxiety because money is never guaranteed, and chasing it endlessly leaves no room for fulfillment. Instead of working for progress, you work from panic. Instead of enjoying what you earn, you fear never having enough. The irony is that the more you are controlled by money, the less satisfied you become, no matter how much you gain. Money is meant to serve you, not enslave you. It should function as a resource to build your life, not as a ruler to dominate it. When you take authority over money, you begin making decisions based on values rather than impulses. You stop buying to impress and start spending to improve your future. You stop measuring success by appearance and begin measuring it by freedom, stability, and growth. This shift in mindset immediately reduces pressure because you are no longer trying to prove your worth through possessions. True financial strength comes from discipline, not display. It means having control over your habits instead of being controlled by your desires. It means teaching money where to go instead of wondering where it went. This kind of control leads to confidence because you know you are building something real beneath the surface, even if no one else can see it. When money stops controlling you, your life begins to feel lighter. You experience peace that is not dependent on your income. You feel secure without constantly showing off. You make choices that align with your future, not just your feelings. And in that moment, money becomes what it was always meant to be, a tool that supports your life rather than a force that directs it. And that is when wealth finally starts serving you instead of silently ruling you. True wealth has very little to do with how much money you can spend in public and everything to do with how wisely you manage your money in private. Many people confuse appearance with abundance, believing that expensive clothes, cars, or homes are signs of success. But in reality, these things can easily hide financial stress, debt, and insecurity. Real wealth is often quiet. It does not shout through luxury. It whispers through stability, freedom, and peace of mind. A person who can pay their bills without fear, handle emergencies without panic, and sleep at night without financial anxiety is far wealthier than someone who looks impressive but is drowning in worry. Managing money with wisdom means understanding that every choice has a future attached to it. Saving is not about depriving yourself. It is about protecting your tomorrow. Investing is not about gambling. It is about growing something bigger than your present. Giving is not about losing. It is about releasing fear and trusting abundance. Each of these habits builds a financial mindset that goes beyond survival and moves toward purpose. People who manage their money well are not reckless with it, and they are not slaves to it either. They see money as a tool, not a trophy. Wealth grows from discipline more than desire. You can desire more all day, but without structure, that desire will only turn into frustration. When you track your spending, plan your goals, and respect your limits, money starts working for you instead of against you. Over time, small, consistent decisions turn into big financial opportunities. A single wise habit repeated faithfully has more power than a single big paycheck wasted carelessly. True wealth also includes the way you give. Giving shapes your relationship with money because it reminds you that you are not controlled by it. When you give intentionally, you train yourself to trust that money is not your source but your resource. This mindset creates freedom because generosity breaks fear and replaces it with confidence. You stop clinging and start flowing. Unlike status, true wealth cannot be taken from you by circumstances alone. It is built into how you think, choose, and manage. It gives you options, not just objects. It gives you calm, not just comfort. It gives you freedom, not just fashion. In the end, looking rich may win attention, but being wealthy wins peace, and a life built on peace will always be richer than one built on display alone. Your mind is the most powerful tool you will ever possess. Yet most people fail to realize how much influence it has over every aspect of their lives. It is either your greatest ally or your most limiting enemy. The thoughts you consistently allow to occupy your mind quietly determine, in your actions, your decisions, and ultimately, the results you experience. A mind filled with doubt, fear, or negativity will naturally produce hesitation, avoidance, and missed opportunities, while a mind filled with clarity, focus, and positivity will naturally create confidence, courage, and success. The difference between those who succeed and those who remain stuck is not always circumstances. It is how they manage the inner dialogue that shapes their reality. Your mind can become a prison when you allow old habits, past failures, and limiting beliefs to dominate your thinking. Many people replay mistakes over and over, criticize themselves endlessly, and imagine worst case scenarios constantly. This mental noise is like a cage that restricts your growth and keeps you small. Every time you give energy to these thoughts, you strengthen the belief that you cannot achieve more, that you are limited, and that the world is working against you. The more attention you give these thoughts, the more powerful they become, creating invisible boundaries that are difficult to break. Conversely, a disciplined mind becomes a passport to freedom. When you consciously train your mind to focus on solutions instead of problems, on opportunities instead of obstacles, and on growth instead of limitation, your internal world begins to align with your desires. Your thoughts begin to work for you rather than against you. You start noticing possibilities where others see roadblocks. You begin creating strategies instead of excuses. You respond to challenges with clarity rather than reaction. This mental discipline shapes your behavior, and your behavior shapes your results, showing that the mind is the true architect of your life. Your beliefs also act as filters for everything you experience. What you assume to be true about yourself and the world is what you will find repeatedly reflected back to you. If you believe you are capable, deserving, and resilient, your actions will prove it, and life will begin to support that narrative. If you believe the opposite, your actions will reinforce limitation, and circumstances will confirm your fears. The mind does not argue, it simply executes the instructions it receives. Therefore, careful attention to the thoughts you allow and the beliefs you cultivate is not optional. It is essential for creating the life you desire. A mind that is trained, disciplined, and focused is unstoppable because it transforms adversity into opportunity, fear into confidence, and limitation into growth. The control you exercise over your thoughts ultimately becomes the control you exercise over your destiny, and the life you live tomorrow is a reflection of how well you manage your mind today. Living in the past is one of the greatest traps that keeps people from experiencing the fullness of life. Many individuals carry old wounds, mistakes, and regrets as if they are permanent luggage, letting yesterday dictate the possibilities of today. They replay conversations, relive failures, and mourn missed opportunities, forgetting that the past is not a residence but a reference point. The moment you allow yesterday to control your present thoughts, emotions, and decisions, you give up power over your future. Your potential becomes restricted by what has already happened, and your life becomes a series of reactions instead of creations. The past has value only when it teaches you lessons. Every mistake, failure, and disappointment contains insight if you are willing to see it. But holding on to shame or regret does not honor those lessons. It traps you in repetition. People who live in their past tend to avoid taking new risks because they fear repeating old failures. They hesitate to pursue opportunities because their minds replay what went wrong last time. Instead of asking, what can I do differently now? This kind of thinking is like driving while constantly looking in the rear. You miss the road ahead while trying to navigate the road behind you. Letting go of the past does not mean erasing memory. It means releasing its power over your present identity. Your experiences are there to guide you, not define you. They are the raw materials from which wisdom is built, but they should never become the walls of your cage. When you stop identifying yourself with past failures, you free yourself to experiment, grow, and take bold steps forward. Your mistakes then become stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks, and every lesson learned becomes fuel for action. Living in the present requires a conscious shift in perspective. Instead of asking why things happen to you, begin asking what those experiences can teach you. Instead of replaying loss or disappointment, focus on opportunities for growth and improvement. The power of the present lies in choice. You always have the ability to think differently, act differently, and feel differently than you did before. By taking responsibility for your now rather than blaming your then, you begin to reclaim authority over your life and open the door to a future unshackled by history. The people who succeed in life are not those who avoid mistakes, but those who refuse to let their past define them. They take the lessons, adjust their course, and move forward with confidence. Each day becomes a fresh canvas, and every decision is an opportunity to rewrite your story. By viewing the past as a guide instead of a jailer, you cultivate resilience, wisdom, and freedom, and your focus shifts from limitation to possibility. Mastering the 4 M's, mouth, mood, money, and mind, is not just a motivational slogan. It is a blueprint for complete life transformation. These 4 areas are interconnected, and the way you handle them directly shapes the quality of your life. When you control your mouth, you are no longer speaking limitation into your life, but declaring possibility, confidence, and purpose. Every word you utter begins to align your external reality with the vision inside your heart. Language becomes the foundation upon which your mindset and actions are built, and mastery over your words is the first step toward shaping the life you desire. Controlling your mood adds another layer of empowerment. Your emotional state determines how you experience every situation, how you respond to challenges, and how you interact with others. When you manage your mood, you refuse to be a victim of circumstance or someone else's negativity. You cultivate an internal environment of stability and peace, which allows you to respond with clarity, creativity, and calmness instead of reacting with fear or frustration. Emotional mastery strengthens your resilience and ensures that your progress is not derailed by temporary setbacks or external pressures. Financial mastery, or control over money, transforms your relationship with resources. Money is neither good nor evil, but without discipline, it can become a source of stress and limitation. By managing your finances wisely, spending with purpose, saving with intent, investing for growth, and giving generously, you take ownership of your future instead of leaving it to chance. Financial control creates freedom and removes the anxiety that often prevents people from taking bold steps toward their goals. It allows you to make decisions based on strategy rather than desperation. Finally, mastery of the mind is the key to integrating all the other M's. Your mind is the command center that directs your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. A disciplined mind allows you to see opportunities where others see obstacles, to focus on solutions rather than problems, and to think in ways that generate progress and growth. The quality of your thoughts directly influences the quality of your decisions, your behavior, and ultimately the results you achieve in every area of life. Without mental control, efforts in other areas may falter, but with it, you create unstoppable momentum. When all four M's are mastered, your life becomes a harmonious system rather than a series of reactive events. Your words align with your vision, your emotions strengthen your focus, your money supports your goals, and your mind drives intentional action. Each element reinforces the others, creating a compound effect that propels you towards success, fulfillment, and purpose. True mastery over these areas is not a temporary fix. It is a permanent shift in how you live, think, and interact with the world, and it sets the stage for a life of empowerment and freedom.